In the headlines, flood kills 9, displaces over 6,000 across 11 local government areas in Kano State. 6 dead, others injured in Ogun State road accident. Last batch of 94 pilgrims returns as Kaduna concludes airlift. Away from Nigeria, UN Security Council holds emergency meeting over Gaza fighting. Hello and welcome to Trust News Update. I am Ayuba Ilya. Thank you for joining. And now the details. An increase in the price of feeds, insecurity, I beg your pardon, at least 9 people have been confirmed dead on and over 6,000 others displaced by floods across 11 local government areas of Kano State. While visiting the scene of the disaster in Ajingi local government area, the executive secretary of the State Emergency Management is still locating other areas that are yet to be reported. Idris Jibrin reports that properties worth over 500 million naira have been lost to the disaster.
Ibrahim Bala is one of the recent flood victims in Ajingi local government area of Kano State, whose 10-year-old daughter was killed, house and farmland destroyed after a 40-hour uninterrupted rainfall. He says he has no home, no farmland at the moment. It was unfortunate. It's really sad. We experienced rainfall for over 40 hours and I lost my daughter. I lost my home. I lost my farmland. As I'm talking to you now, I do not have anything. I don't know what to do. We are only calling on government to continue to assist us. Otherwise, we don't know where to put ourselves. As for the record before the State Emergency Management Agency, 6,417 people were affected by the flood, which also killed 9 and injured 9.
We had Kilu local government 306 with no casualty, Helena local government 62 victims with 1 casualty and 2 were injured. Lambata local government we had 1,175 and 3 were injured and 3 were dead and 5 were injured, including 3 small children with their mother carrying 9-month pregnancy.
Recently, the Ajingi Local Government Council confirmed that over 500 people were displaced by the flood, while 3 others have been killed.
We experienced the flood disaster in this local government, which resulted in the deaths of 3 people. There is Toranki, Karamakama, Ajingi, almost all the what in the Ajingi local government are affected. To say rather than to thank the executive governor of Kano State and ES for the same what brought this local government. We have nothing to say. We never experienced this.
Although investigation is still ongoing to identify other areas, but the State Emergency Management Agency is calling on residents to stay away from areas vulnerable to flood attack and report any incidents to the agency for immediate assistance. Idris Jibrin, Trust TV News, Kano.
The Defense Headquarters has said that it has arrested the terrorists behind the attack on the St. Francis Catholic Church in Owo, Ondo State. The Chief of Defense Staff, General Lucky Rabo, announced this on Tuesday at a parley with media executives at the Defense Headquarters in Abuja. He said the criminals were arrested in collaboration with other security agencies. About 40 people were killed when the gunmen stormed the church on June 5, opened fire on the congregation and also detonated explosives as the worshippers scampered for safety. Troops of Operation Thunderstrike of the Nigerian Army and that of Operation Puff Adder of the Nigerian Police have intensified patrols and operations along the Kaduna-Abuja highway and surrounding communities. This is part of efforts to flush out bandits and provide adequate security on the highways and the general area. Speaking during an assessment tour of the ongoing security operations on the highway, the Kaduna State Commissioner for Internal Security and Home Affairs, Samuel Aruwan, said contrary to insinuations that motorists have abandoned the highway because of insecurity, more vehicles are still plying the road as a result of presence of security operatives in the area. Aruwan also debunked reports that the convoy of the Assistant Inspector General of Police in charge of Zone 12 was attacked along the Kaduna-Abuja highway last week, saying that the incident took place between Kaduna and Nasarawa states' borders. Among the locations visited by the Commissioner are Rijana and Katari villages, which are flashpoints areas on the highway. An officer of the Ogun State Community Social Orientation and Safety Corps, SOSAFE Corps, Sofolahan Olarewaju, has been killed after gunmen invaded a bar in Abeokuta North local government area of Ogun State. Also abducted during the attack is a yet-to-be-identified female victim. The gunmen were said to have succeeded in abducting a woman from the bar at about 9:50 p.m. and in the process, the kidnappers shot and killed the SOSAFE security guard who was trying to call for reinforcement. The spokesman for the Corps, Moruf Yusuf, confirmed the incident in the state capital. The Nigerian Police Force has dismissed yet another officer who was caught in a video beating a man with a machete in the Ekori community of Cross River State. The police constable was dismissed after facing an orderly room trial in which he was found guilty of the offense. Addressing journalists at the force headquarters in Abuja, the Force Public Relations Officer Olumuyiwa Adejobi said that the Nigerian police frown at any act of misconduct, especially one that involved an officer maltreating innocent citizens, adding that such conduct will not be tolerated, stressing that any officer caught engaging in act of indiscipline will be dealt with accordingly. 6 people were killed, 2 injured in a traffic accident along the Idiroko-Ota Road area of the Ogun State on Monday after a headlong collision between a gas-laden truck and a Volvo. The public education officer of the Ogun State sector of the Federal Road Safety Commission, Florence Okpe, confirmed this in Abeokuta, the state capital. The injured victims have, however, been taken to the hospital for medical attention. She warned motorists to always drive with care and obey traffic rules. A state high court in Jalingo, Taraba State has served an interim injunction restraining a traditional head, the Kwanse of Kwararafa, from parading himself as the third-class chief of the chiefdom. The injunction also is to stop him from appointing districts and village heads and declaring all the appointments he made in the past as null and void. The injunction followed a case filed by the village head of Kwararafa, Ibrahim Jauro Isa, against the Kwanse and 5 others who the Kwanse recently appointed as district heads in his domain. The presiding judge who granted the injunction adjourned the case to October 31st, 2022.
What we are here for is for the hearing of the motion, and I'm just being told by the council that they have an application for substituted service, so it is expert here. For now, I don't have any business with the application since it is motion expert here. I don't have anything to say about it.
So you are
whereas
okay.
One of his motion on notice has been withdrawn because it was overtaken by events. So that was all for
what
today.
What was that motion?
It was a motion for interlocutory injunction, and it has been overtaken by event due to some reasons which he stated in court.
The Zamfara state government is seeking global support in the areas of capacity building of its health personnel, equipment, and diseases surveillance. Governor Bello Muhammad made the appeal while playing host to stakeholders in the health sector in Gusau, Zamfara State. The report.
The visit to Zamfara State, according to the stakeholders, is to promote community engagement with traditional and religious leaders, as well as to mobilize communities to embrace health interventions that are life-saving for children, women, and vulnerable persons in the society. The stakeholders said it is imperative for Zamfara State government to work with other development partners in the state to boost community confidence and trust to improve acceptance of health intervention projects like routine immunization coverages, among others.
A group of partners, Chigiri Foundation, Solina, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, WHO, UNICEF, and several others, including other government agencies, are invited in that partnership to work with state governments like here in Zamfara, to work with traditional leaders to boost the confidence of communities in demanding for essential services, essential commodities that can save lives. That's what financial resources are one element, but there is also a lot of social capital that we have to harness. We have seen political capital being deployed in Zamfara State in terms of just mobilizing communities, despite all the challenges that had preceded this period. What we're here for is to mobilize all forms of capital, whether it's social capital, political capital, but also leveraging on what the state is bringing and what other partners are going to bring.
The Chief of Staff Government House Zamfara, Ibrahim Sulaiman, who received the team on behalf of Governor Bello Muhammad, described the visit as apt, saying it is coming at a time when the state is facing insecurity and other challenges. He seized the opportunity to seek the support of the stakeholders and other development partners on capacity building to safeguard lives of citizens in the state.
You are coming at this time, like I said, it's very hard. It's such a time when we are facing challenges of insecurity. Challenges of insecurity are media and multifaceted. You are coming this very timely, and we are not going to put so much pressure on you, but you understand our situation, and that's why you come.
The group of health partners are expected to deploy social, political, capital, and financial resources to intervene in the routine immunization coverages on polio in Kebbi, Sokoto, and Zamfara states in northwest Nigeria.
The last batch of about 94 pilgrims and officials who performed this year's Hajj exercise from Kaduna has returned home after spending at least 6 weeks in Mecca and Medina, Saudi Arabia. The public relations officer of the Kaduna Pilgrims Welfare Agency, Alhaji Salisu Anchau, said about 2,500 pilgrims were airlifted back home. Among them was the executive secretary of the agency. Speaking to newsmen shortly after his arrival at the Kaduna International Airport on Sunday, the executive secretary expressed delight over the successful conclusion of the 2022 Hajj operations. You're watching Trust News Update. Coming up shortly, we'll take a look at plight of rural dwellers. Details and more after the break.
To every politician, as the campaigns gain momentum and passions begin to rise, remember, the errors of your opponents do not make you a success. Do not run down your opponent and inflame passions to violence between and among your supporters. What counts is what you plan to do for the electorate and how you intend to relieve the sufferings and bring succor. Nigeria is in dire need of patriotic leaders at all levels, leaders who will make national development their priority. Concentrate on telling the electorate what you intend to do when you get into office. Focus on making your vision clear to the electorate. Don't engage in verbal abuses, fake news or speeches. Keep dealing with issues that will bring progress. You win the hearts and minds of the people by being above board, by being civil, patriotic, and showing empathy. Let's join hands to make the 2023 elections peaceful. A message from the National Orientation Agency.
Thanks for staying. Let's have a look at the top stories again. Flood kills 9, displaces over 6,000 across 11 local government areas in Kano State. 6 dead, others injured in Ogun State road accident. In other news, the Kwara State government has warned farmers in the state against commercializing farm inputs distributed to them. The director of Kwara State Coordinator, Busari Isiaka, gave the warning during a press conference in Ilorin. The report.
The Kwara State government has warned farmers in the state against commercializing farm inputs distributed to them. The director, Kwara State Coordinator, Busari Isiaka, gave the warning during a press conference in Ilorin. The director said the warning became imperative in order to ensure that the inputs are used judiciously. He said that there have been reported cases of beneficiaries selling their packages at a giveaway price instead of putting the inputs to good use. At least 6,000 crop and livestock farmers in Kwara State have benefited from the first round of government and World Bank-enabled support along agricultural value chains.
Without mincing words, the Kwara State Federal Cares has so far provided relief to 6,000 beneficiaries across all 16 LGAs in the state within the first 6 months of implementation. A good turn, they say, deserves another. We have to give His Excellency a thunderous round of applause for not letting Kwara farmers down. Remember that this project will span 24 months. We still have 18 months left, which will subsequently come in 3 phases. On behalf of my team, the working team, I find it necessary to avow that by the time the 24-month time matures, the governor will have provided relief to about 20,000 indigent farmers who are victims of the COVID-19 pandemic lockdown. It is necessary to emphasize that the agricultural items distributed must be used judiciously by the beneficiaries to the satisfaction of the benefactor. As a result of this, we warn the farmers against commercializing the items. Both the input and asset items must be used and maintained for the purpose they were designed for. In the past and in other related agricultural programs, there have been cases of beneficiaries selling their packages immediately after receiving them. You must not follow suit.
The Fadama ND Cares program is an agricultural invention scheme aimed at increasing food security and safe functioning of food supply chains in the wake of the COVID-19 pandemic.
An increase in the price of feeds, insecurity, activities of middlemen, and cost of diesel have been identified as factors responsible for the persistent increase in the price of eggs in the market. Poultry farmers in Kaduna say unless government intervenes to save poultry farms from collapse, there will be shortage of eggs in the market in no distant future. Take a look.
Eggs are naturally rich in vitamins B2, B12 and D. They also contain vitamin A and a number of other vitamins. Eggs are also essential in the growth of children who require them on a daily basis to optimal growth. However, in recent times, most families are gradually skipping this vital requirement due to the price increase. Musa Bala is the chairman Poultry Association of Nigeria, Kaduna State. He attributes the hike in egg price to the cost of feed and other poultry necessities.
We need to buy the day-old chick. A day-old pullet or chick that we used to buy at 100 naira is now up to 650 naira. A bag of feed of 25 kg that we used to buy at 3,000 is now 7,000, 8,000.
While the farmers cite insecurity and activities of middlemen as responsible for the cost of production, they also want the government to subsidize the feeds.
Sometimes you will see somebody will buy egg from us at the rate of 1,500 and be selling at 1,008. Or you buy from us 1,600 and be selling at 1,900. There are places that people even sell egg at 2,000 naira. One of the biggest challenges we are facing now, of course, like any other citizen of Nigeria, is the fear of insecurity. It affects my farmers seriously. Some of the farmers have to even abandon their farms because Most poultry farms are situated outside town. We have cases of attack, 1 or 2 or 3 farms or more than. I'm just giving you the, but that's not the number.
So we're appealing to the state government, the federal government should try as much as possible to subsidize, especially this feed is one of the most important things. You buy feed today. 2 years ago, I was making more profit than now. 2 years ago, when a bag of feed was 2,700. Today, a bag of feed is 6,400.
According to them, if the government doesn't intervene, many poultries in Kaduna State may collapse.
In the eventuality of farm continue to collapse, we will be facing a lot of shortages of egg that is needed for proper growth of children and the provision of protein to almost every Nigerian.
The farmers further call on government to help them access their farms by improving security, especially in the outskirts of the city where most of their farms are located. Bello Musa, Trust TV News, Kaduna.
Residents of Paduma community in the Federal Capital Territory reflect the plight of rural dwellers, especially those who are poor, vulnerable, and unable to afford private health care services. A medical outreach organized in the community has exposed the need to intervene in the provision of health facilities in a community that is so close to the seat of power. Mardia Umar reports.
Paduma community, a suburb in the Abuja Municipal Area Council, AMAC, consists of 9 wards. Just like many other communities in the FCT, the community lacks some basic social amenities, top on the list being a healthcare facility to cater for their health needs.
Some of the things we are lacking in this Paduma 1 Asokoro extension is social health care. When we are sick, we travel far to go for treatment. Sometimes we go to Asokoro or these barracks, or we have to climb bike from here to Kobe before we can get medicine.
The major thing we would lack for this Paduma here is hospital. No hospital here. At times, if people are sick here, they need to go Kobe for the treatment.
This medical outreach in Paduma community is coincides with the commemoration of the 100 days in office of the Controller General of the Federal Fire Service in Abuja.
The reason why we are here today is that the Controller General of Federal Fire Service is celebrating 100 days in his office today. That's the reason. But for us to celebrate it in the town, I decided to come to this community to do the celebration of this 100 days of my husband in this community.
The outreach also provides an opportunity to sensitize Nigerians on the need to consciously prevent fire outbreak and disaster in homes and workplaces by applying basic preventive measures.
When you look at the terrain of our country, you find out that most of the times the cause of fire outbreak is mostly human. Most Nigerians, they are not all that too careful that when you leave your house in the morning, you make sure or ensure that the gadgets in your house are switched off.
The Controller General of the Federal Fire Service has been at the forefront of achieving the core mandates, duties and responsibilities of the Federal Fire Service across the 13 zones in the Federation. Martia Umar, Trust TV News, Abuja.
And away from Nigeria, Kenyans lined up before dawn to vote in a high-stakes election Tuesday as 2 political heavyweights battle it out in a tight race for the presidency. The country is hoping for a peaceful transition of power after almost a decade under President Uhuru Kenyatta, but concerns about vote rigging linger after past election disputes spiraled into bloodshed. After a vitriolic campaign, voting was generally smooth, according to reports. However, some incidents of delays in opening polling stations and problems with electronic voter registration equipment were also reported. The United Nations Security Council has held an emergency meeting to discuss the situation in Gaza, with several members raising concerns amid a fragile ceasefire between Israel and Islamic Jihad, a Palestinian armed group, after 3 days of Israeli air raids on the territory. Speaking via video at the start of the meeting, UN Middle East envoy warned that the ceasefire is fragile. Any resumption of hostilities will only have devastating consequences for Palestinians and Israelis, which can make any political progress on key issues elusive. And in sports news, Everton have completed the signing of England centre-back Conor Cody on a season-long loan. Frank Lampard's Everton were short of defenders after losing Ben Godfrey and Yeremina to injury in their Premier League opener against Chelsea. The Merseyside-born will wear the number 30 shirt for Everton. The Liverpool Academy product was on the bench for the Wolves' first game of the season at Elland Road, with manager Bruno Lage preferring Max Kilman and Nathan Collins in a two-man central defense. And that's a wrap on Trust News Update. Watch more via all our social media platforms, and don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. I am Ayuba Ilya. Thank you for watching.